The marble floor beneath Jasmine's knees was so clean she could see her reflection in it, but she kept scrubbing anyway. She had learned long ago that rich people noticed every speck of dust, every streak on their perfect surfaces. The charity gala was winding down, and most of the guests had moved to the ballroom for dancing, leaving behind a trail of champagne spills and dropped appetizers in the main hall. Jasmine Brown had been working for Elite Cleaning Services for 3 years, and she knew the routine by heart. Get in, clean up after the wealthy people, and get out before anyone really noticed you existed. That was the rule. Stay invisible. But tonight something was different. She was so focused on removing a stubborn red wine stain that she didn't hear the footsteps approaching. The man's voice startled her so badly she nearly knocked over her bucket of soapy water. "Excuse me, I think I'm lost." Jasmine looked up to see a tall man in an expensive black suit swaying slightly on his feet. His dark hair was messed up, his bow tie was crooked, and his eyes had that glassy look that meant he'd had too much to drink. But even in his current state she could tell he was handsome. Very handsome. "Oh, Jasmine started to stand up, but the man was already talking again. "This party is absolutely terrible, isn't it?" He laughed and ran his hand through his hair. "I mean, all these people pretending to care about charity while they show off their jewelry and talk about their vacation homes. It's exhausting." Jasmine blinked in confusion. The lighting in this part of the hall was dim, with only a few soft spotlights creating pools of warm light. She realized that from where he was standing, he probably couldn't see her cleaning supplies clearly. Her black uniform could easily be mistaken for a cocktail dress in this light. "I'm sorry, I think you have me confused with someone else," she said quietly. But the man waved his hand dismissively. No, you're the woman who was standing by the silent auction table earlier. I saw you looking at that painting, the one with the blue flowers. You had this expression on your face like you actually understood what the artist was trying to say." Jasmine's mouth fell open. She had been near the auction table, but only because she'd been dusting it. And yes, she had stopped to look at that painting because it reminded her of her grandmother's garden. But this man thought she was a guest? "You seemed like the only real person in that whole room," he continued, leaning against the wall for support. "Everyone else was just fake, putting on a show. But you were different." The smart thing would have been to correct him immediately, to explain that she was just the cleaning lady and direct him back to the party. But something in his voice stopped her. He sounded so tired, so lonely. And when was the last time anyone had called her real? "The party is pretty overwhelming," she heard herself say. "Right?" His face lit up with genuine relief. "I thought I was going crazy. All these people talking about their problems, which boat to take to the Bahamas, whether their chef is making the right kind of caviar. Meanwhile, there are real problems in the world." Jasmine found herself nodding. She thought about her mother at home, struggling to pay for her medication. About her second job at the diner where she served coffee to people who barely acknowledged her existence. About the stack of bills on her kitchen table that never seemed to get smaller. "What's your name?" the man asked suddenly. "Jasmine," she replied without thinking. "Jasmine." He smiled and it transformed his whole face. "I'm Ryan. Ryan Mitchell." The name hit her like a punch to the stomach. Ryan Mitchell. She'd seen his picture in magazines and newspapers. He owned half the buildings in the city, including the one they were standing in right now. He was worth billions of dollars. And he was talking to her like she was his equal. "It's nice to meet you, Ryan," she managed to say. "The pleasure is all mine." He straightened up a bit, trying to look more sober than he was. "Would you like to get some fresh air? There's a balcony upstairs that overlooks the city. The view is incredible." Jasmine's heart pounded. This was insane. She should tell him the truth right now. But looking at his hopeful face, she found herself nodding. "That sounds nice." As they walked toward the elevator, Jasmine caught a glimpse of herself in one of the hall's many mirrors. Her black uniform did look like a simple dress in this light. Her hair was pulled back neatly, and she'd put on a little makeup before work tonight because she'd had a job interview earlier that day. She could see how the mistake had happened. But as the elevator doors closed behind them, she wondered what she'd gotten herself into. Ryan Mitchell was leaning against the wall, watching her with those intense eyes, and she felt like she was about to step off a cliff into the unknown. "You know," he said softly, "I've been to 100 parties like this one, and this is the first time I've actually wanted to have a real conversation with someone." Jasmine's heart fluttered despite herself. She knew this was all based on a lie, but the way he was looking at her made her feel like she mattered. Like she was worth talking to. It was a feeling she hadn't experienced in a very long time. The elevator dinged softly as it reached the top floor, and the doors slid open to reveal a stunning rooftop balcony. The city sparkled below them like a sea of diamonds, and Jasmine couldn't help but gasp at the beauty of it. Beautiful, isn't it? Ryan said, stepping out beside her. I've never seen the city from this high up before, she admitted. Really? Where do you usually spend your time? The question was innocent enough, but it made Jasmine's stomach twist with anxiety. She was walking deeper into this lie with every word, and she didn't know how to get out without hurting his feelings or embarrassing herself. I work downtown, she said carefully. It wasn't a lie exactly. She did work downtown, just not in the way he probably imagined. Doing what? He asked, genuinely curious. I help people, she said, which was also true in a way. She helped people by cleaning their messes and making their spaces beautiful. Ryan smiled. That's wonderful. This city needs more people who care about helping others. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, looking out over the twinkling lights. The cool night air felt good on Jasmine's skin, and she tried to memorize this moment standing on a rooftop with one of the most powerful men in the city, feeling like she belonged somewhere beautiful for once. Can I ask you something? Ryan said suddenly. Sure. What do you think about all this? He gestured toward the building below them. The wealth, the luxury, the way some people live while others struggle? The question caught her off guard. She'd expected him to ask about her job or her family or where she went to school. She hadn't expected him to ask for her opinion on inequality. I think, she said slowly, that money can't buy the things that really matter. Like genuine connections with people. Or the satisfaction of working hard for something you care about. Or the feeling of making a real difference in someone's life, even if it's small. Ryan stared at her for a long moment. Wow. You really are different, aren't you? Before she could respond, he continued. Most people I talk to either want something from me or they're trying to impress me with their own success. But you're just honest. Jasmine felt a stab of guilt. If only he knew how dishonest this whole situation was. I believe in being real with people, she said quietly. That's refreshing. He moved closer to her, and she could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtle. I have a confession to make. I didn't really get lost downstairs. I saw you from across the room and I wanted to talk to you, but I didn't know how to approach you without seeming like every other guy at these parties. Jasmine's heart started racing again. You wanted to talk to me? From the moment I saw you. There was something about the way you carried yourself. You seemed authentic. Like you hadn't let this world change you. If only he knew, Jasmine thought. She hadn't let this world change her because she'd never been part of it to begin with. Ryan, she started, then stopped. She wanted to tell him the truth, but the words wouldn't come. Not when he was looking at her like she was the most interesting person he'd ever met. What is it? He asked gently. Nothing. I just, thank you for this. For showing me the view. It's beautiful. You're beautiful, he said softly, then immediately looked embarrassed. I'm sorry. I don't usually. I've had a bit too much to drink tonight. It's okay, Jasmine said, though her cheeks were burning. No one had ever called her beautiful before. Not like that, with such sincerity in their voice. They talked for another hour on that balcony about everything and nothing. Ryan told her about growing up with parents who were more interested in their social status than their son. Jasmine found herself sharing stories about her neighborhood, carefully edited to avoid revealing too much about her real life. But the emotions were real: her love for her community, her frustration with how hard it was to get ahead, her dreams of something better. When the party started winding down and Ryan began to sober up, reality started creeping back in. Jasmine knew she had to get back to work before anyone noticed she was missing. She had to finish cleaning and get the equipment back to the truck. I should probably go, she said reluctantly. Of course. It's getting late. Ryan pulled out his phone. Can I get your number? I'd love to take you to dinner sometime. Somewhere quiet where we can actually talk. Jasmine's stomach dropped. This was at the moment where her fairy tale would come crashing down. I don't think that's a good idea, she said softly. Why not? Ryan looked genuinely confused and a little hurt. Because you don't really know me, she said, which was the absolute truth. Then let me get to know you, he said earnestly. I haven't felt this connected to someone in years, Jasmine. Please don't just disappear. She looked at his hopeful face and felt her heart breaking a little. I have to go, Ryan. Thank you for tonight. It was magical. Before he could say anything else, she turned and walked quickly toward the elevator. She could hear him calling her name, but she didn't turn around. She couldn't. As the elevator descended back to the main floor, Jasmine caught sight of herself in the mirrored walls. Her reflection looked different somehow, like she'd been playing dress up and was about to change back into her regular clothes. which she realized was exactly what was happening. The elevator doors opened to reveal the main hall, now empty except for her cleaning supplies sitting exactly where she'd left them. The magic was over. She was back to being invisible. But as she knelt down to finish cleaning the wine stain that had started this whole crazy night, she couldn't stop thinking about the way Ryan had looked at her. Like she mattered. Like she was worth knowing. For one night she had been someone else. Someone important. Someone beautiful. And even though she knew it couldn't last, she would never forget how that felt. 3 days later, Jasmine was still thinking about Ryan Mitchell. She tried to push the memory away as she scrubbed the floors at the downtown office building where she worked her morning shift, but his voice kept echoing in her head. The way he'd said her name. The genuine interest in his eyes when she talked about helping people. She was so lost in thought that she almost missed the commotion in the lobby. Raised voices drew her attention, and she looked up to see a familiar figure arguing with the security guard. Ryan Mitchell stood near the front desk, looking frustrated and determined. He was wearing a crisp navy suit and looked completely sober this time, but there was something almost desperate in his posture. "I'm telling you, she works in this building," he was saying to the confused security guard. "Her name is Jasmine. She's about 5'6", beautiful, works downtown helping people." Jasmine's heart stopped. He was looking for her. She quickly ducked behind her cleaning cart, hoping he wouldn't notice her. But it was too late. Their eyes met across the lobby, and his face lit up with relief and something that looked like joy. "Jasmine." He started walking toward her, ignoring the security guard's protests about visitor policies. "Mr. Mitchell, you can't just," the guard called after him. "It's okay, Tony," Ryan said without taking his eyes off Jasmine. "I found who I was looking for." Jasmine stood up slowly, her heart pounding. She was wearing her cleaning uniform again, and there was no dim lighting to hide behind this time. Her secret was about to be exposed in the most embarrassing way possible. But when Ryan reached her, he didn't look angry or disgusted. He looked relieved. "I've been looking for you everywhere," he said breathlessly. "You disappeared without giving me your number, and I couldn't stop thinking about our conversation." "Ryan, I know what you're going to say," he interrupted. "You're going to tell me that we're from different worlds, that this is complicated. But I don't care about any of that." Jasmine glanced around nervously. The security guard was watching them with curiosity, and a few office workers had stopped to stare at the scene. Ryan Mitchell was famous enough that people recognized him, and she could see them whispering to each other. "Can we talk somewhere private?" she asked quietly. "Of course." He looked around and spotted a small seating area near the windows. "Over there?" They walked to the quiet corner, and Jasmine's mind raced with what she should say. She had to tell him the truth, but she was terrified of seeing the disappointment in his eyes when he realized what she really was. "Before you say anything," Ryan said as they sat down, "I want you to know that I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since the other night. The way you talked about helping people, about what really matters, it was like you saw right through all the fake stuff that usually surrounds me." "Ryan, please listen to me," Jasmine said firmly. "There's something I need to tell you." "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "The other night at the party, I wasn't a guest." He frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "I was working. I'm a cleaning lady, Ryan. I was cleaning the floors when you found me. The lighting was dim and you thought I was wearing a dress, but it was my uniform." The silence stretched between them for what felt like forever. Jasmine watched as understanding dawned on Ryan's face, followed by surprise, then something she couldn't quite read. "You were working," he said slowly. "Yes. I work for Elite Cleaning Services. That's my job. I clean up after parties and events. I should have told you right away, but you seemed so lonely, and I didn't want to embarrass you. So when you said you help people downtown?" "I help people by cleaning their offices and their homes. I make their spaces beautiful. It's honest work, but it's not what you thought." Ryan ran his hand through his hair, processing this information. Jasmine braced herself for his reaction, the polite dismissal, the awkward excuse about having somewhere else to be. Instead he started laughing. Not mean laughter, but genuine amusement mixed with something that sounded like admiration. "You're amazing," he said, shaking his head. "What?" Jasmine blinked in confusion. "You're absolutely amazing. Here I am, going on and on about fake people and authenticity, and you're the most real person I've ever met. You could have pretended to be someone else, but you're telling me the truth. You're not disappointed?" "Disappointed?" Ryan looked genuinely surprised. "Jasmine, you work multiple jobs to support yourself and your family. You take pride in your work. You're honest and kind and intelligent. Why would I be disappointed?" Relief flooded through her, followed quickly by suspicion. You're not just saying that to be nice? I'm saying it because it's true. He leaned forward, his expression serious. Can I ask you something? Why did you decide to tell me? You could have just avoided me. Jasmine thought about it. Because I felt guilty about lying to you. And because the way you looked at me that night made me feel like I mattered. I didn't want to keep pretending to be someone I'm not. You do matter, Ryan said firmly. More than most of the people I usually spend time with. They inherited their money or married into it or made it by stepping on other people. But you work for everything you have. That's incredible. It's not incredible, Jasmine said softly. It's just necessary. No, it's both. He reached across the small table and gently touched her hand. Tell me about your life. Your real life. I want to know everything. So Jasmine found herself talking about her mother's illness, about working 2 jobs to pay for medication and rent, about her dreams of maybe going back to school someday. She told him about the satisfaction she felt when she transformed a messy space into something clean and organized, about the regular clients who had become like family to her. Ryan listened to every word with complete attention, asking thoughtful questions and never once making her feel like her struggles were insignificant. What about you? She asked when she finished. What's your real life like? Not the magazine version. Ryan's smile faded slightly. Lonely mostly. I inherited my father's business when I was 25, and I've been trying to prove myself ever since. Most of my friends want something from me: business deals, investments, introductions to other wealthy people. I can't remember the last time someone talked to me just because they enjoyed my company. That sounds awful. It is. That's why that night on the balcony was so special. You talked to me like I was just a person, not a bank account or a business opportunity. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both processing what they'd shared. So what happens now? Jasmine asked. Now I ask you again if I can take you to dinner, Ryan said with a smile. Somewhere we can continue this conversation without worrying about security guards or curious office workers. Jasmine hesitated. Ryan, we really are from different worlds. I don't want you to think this is going to be some kind of fairy tale where the poor girl gets rescued by the rich prince. I don't want to rescue you, he said seriously. I want to get to know you. The real you. And I want you to get to know the real me, not the version that shows up in business magazines. What if it doesn't work out? What if we discover we don't actually have anything in common? Then we'll have had some good conversations and learned something about each other. But what if it does work out? What if we discover that connection we felt on the balcony is real? Jasmine looked at his hopeful face and felt her resistance crumbling. When was the last time someone had wanted to spend time with her just for her company? When was the last time someone had looked at her like she was interesting and valuable? Okay, she said softly. Okay. Yes, I'll have dinner with you. But somewhere normal, not some fancy restaurant where I'll need a dictionary to read the menu. Ryan laughed. I know just the place. How about tomorrow night? There's a little Italian place in your neighborhood that makes the best pasta in the city. Very casual, very authentic. You know a place in my neighborhood? I may have done some research after you disappeared the other night, he admitted sheepishly. I was hoping I might run into you. That's a little stalkerish, Jasmine said, but she was smiling. Desperate times, he said with a grin. So tomorrow at 7? I can pick you up or we can meet there if you prefer. Let's meet there. I'll text you the address. She paused. I should probably give you my number now. That would be helpful, Ryan said, pulling out his phone. As they exchanged numbers, Jasmine couldn't quite believe this was happening. Ryan Mitchell, billionaire, business mogul, one of the most eligible bachelors in the city, wanted to have dinner with her. Jasmine Brown, cleaning lady from the east side. I should get back to work, she said, glancing at her cart of supplies. Of course. I don't want to get you in trouble with your boss. Too late for that, she said, noticing her supervisor heading their way with a stern expression. Jasmine, is there a problem here? Mrs. Patterson asked, eyeing Ryan suspiciously. No problem at all, Ryan said smoothly, standing up and extending his hand. I'm Ryan Mitchell. I was just thanking Jasmine for the excellent work your company did at my charity event the other night. Mrs. Patterson's entire demeanor changed when she heard his name. Mr. Mitchell. What an honor. Jasmine is one of our best workers. I hope everything was satisfactory? More than satisfactory. Exceptional, actually. He smiled at Jasmine. I'll definitely be requesting your services again in the future. Wonderful. Jasmine, why don't you finish up here and then take your lunch break? After Mrs. Patterson left, Ryan turned back to Jasmine with an amused expression. Requesting your services for future events? I'll have to remember that. Very smooth, Jasmine said, but she was grateful for his quick thinking. So tomorrow at 7? Tomorrow at 7, she confirmed. As Ryan walked away, Jasmine watched him go with a mixture of excitement and terror. She was about to go on a date with Ryan Mitchell. A real date, not a case of mistaken identity on a rooftop. She just hoped she was ready for whatever came next. The Italian restaurant Ryan had chosen was perfect. Tony's Place was a small, family-owned spot that Jasmine had walked past 100 times but never been able to afford. The smell of garlic and fresh bread filled the air, and the walls were covered with photos of the owner's family in Italy. Jasmine arrived exactly at 7, wearing her best dress, a simple navy blue one she'd bought for job interviews. She spotted Ryan immediately, sitting at a corner table and looking surprisingly nervous. He was wearing jeans and a button-down shirt, and somehow he looked more handsome than he had in his expensive suits. "You look beautiful," he said as she approached, standing up to pull out her chair. "Thank you. You look pretty good yourself." She sat down, trying to calm her racing heart. "This place is wonderful. I hoped you'd like it. Tony's been running it for 30 years. He makes everything from scratch." As if on cue, a stocky man with gray hair and a warm smile appeared at their table. "You must be Jasmine. Ryan told me all about you. Welcome to Tony's Place." "Thank you," Jasmine said, charmed by his enthusiasm. "I'm going to bring you the best meal of your life," Tony announced. "Trust me on this." After he bustled away, Ryan looked at Jasmine apologetically. "I hope you don't mind. I called ahead and asked him to choose for us. He gets offended if people order off the menu anyway." "That's fine. I probably would have been overwhelmed by all the choices." She looked around the cozy restaurant. "How did you find this place?" "Believe it or not, I used to deliver pizzas in college. This neighborhood was on my route, and Tony always gave me free garlic bread when I was working late shifts." Jasmine stared at him in surprise. "You delivered pizzas? Hard to believe, right? My father cut off my allowance junior year because I was lacking focus. He thought making me work would teach me responsibility." "Did it?" Ryan smiled. "Actually, yes. Those were some of the best months of my life. I was just a regular guy with a regular job, making my own money. No one knew who my family was or how much money they had. People treated me like me." "Why did you stop?" "My father found out and had a fit. Said I was embarrassing the family name. He made me quit and dragged me into the business immediately after graduation." Jasmine could hear the regret in his voice. "Do you ever miss it? Being just a regular guy?" "Every day," Ryan said quietly. "That's why the other night was so special. For a few hours I got to be myself again. Not Ryan Mitchell the billionaire, just Ryan who likes talking to interesting people on rooftops." Tony appeared with a bottle of wine and 2 steaming plates of pasta. "The special tonight, linguine with clam sauce, my grandmother's recipe. And this wine, it's from my cousin's vineyard in Tuscany." The food was incredible, and Jasmine found herself relaxing as they ate and talked. Ryan asked about her family, her dreams, her favorite books and movies. He listened to her answers with genuine interest, remembering details and asking follow-up questions. "What made you want to start your own cleaning business?" he asked as they shared a piece of tiramisu. "Who said I wanted to start my own business?" "You did. Earlier you mentioned it was one of your dreams." Jasmine was surprised he'd remembered that small comment. "I've always been good at organizing and cleaning. And I love the feeling of transforming a space, making it beautiful and functional. I think I could offer a different kind of service, not just cleaning, but helping people create homes they love." "That sounds amazing. What's stopping you?" "Money mostly. Startup costs, equipment, insurance. And I'd need to build a client base while still working my current jobs to pay the bills." "Have you written a business plan?" "Sort of. I have notebooks full of ideas but nothing official." She paused. "Why do you ask?" "Because I think you're brilliant and I'd love to help you make it happen." Jasmine's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. "Ryan, no." "Why not?" "I invest in businesses all the time. This would be a smart investment." "Because that's not what this is," she said firmly. "I'm not here because I want something from you. I'm here because I like talking to you." Ryan looked stung. "I didn't mean to suggest. I just want to help." "I know you do. But I need to do this myself. If I ever start my own business, it's going to be because I earned it, not because someone handed it to me." They sat in silence for a moment, and Jasmine worried she'd offended him. But when she looked at his face, she saw something that looked like admiration. "You're incredible," he said softly. "I'm stubborn." You're proud. There's a difference. He reached across the table and took her hand. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have assumed you'd want my help. It's just, I'm not used to meeting people who don't want something from me. Well, now you have. Now I have, he agreed, smiling. Can I ask you something else? Sure. What do you think about when you're cleaning? Do you get bored doing the same tasks over and over? The question surprised her. Most people saw cleaning as mindless work, but Ryan seemed genuinely curious about her experience. I don't get bored, she said thoughtfully. Every space is different, every client has different needs. And there's something meditative about the work. It gives me time to think, to plan, to dream. Plus, there's real satisfaction in taking something messy and making it beautiful. I never thought about it that way. Most people don't. They see cleaning as beneath them, or they think it doesn't require any skill. But there's actually a lot of technique involved. Different surfaces need different products and methods. You have to understand chemistry, organization, efficiency. It's more complex than people realize. Ryan listened intently as she talked about her work, asking questions and making comments that showed he was really processing what she was saying. You love what you do, he observed. I do. Not the company I work for necessarily, but the actual work itself. I'm good at it, and it makes a difference in people's lives. That's rare, Ryan said. Most people I know, including myself sometimes, are just going through the motions at work. But you have real passion for what you do. Don't you love running your business? Ryan's expression grew complicated. Parts of it. I love the strategy, the problem solving, the challenge of growing something. But a lot of it feels like playing a role. Being who everyone expects me to be instead of who I actually am. Who are you actually? The question seemed to catch him off guard. He was quiet for a long moment, staring into his wine glass. I'm not sure anymore, he admitted. I've been playing the part of Ryan Mitchell the businessman for so long, I've forgotten who Ryan the person is. But talking to you, it's helping me remember. What do you remember? That I used to want to write. In college, I thought about becoming a journalist or maybe writing novels. I loved telling stories, uncovering truth, making people think about things differently. You still could. At 32? With a company to run and shareholders to answer to. Why not? You're the boss, right? Can't you hire people to handle the day-to-day stuff while you pursue other interests? It's not that simple. There are expectations, responsibilities. Whose expectations? Your father's? Ryan winced. He's been dead for 5 years. So whose expectations are you living up to? The question hung in the air between them. Jasmine could see Ryan struggling with it, like he'd never really considered that possibility before. I don't know, he said finally. Maybe it's time to figure that out. They finished their meal in comfortable conversation, talking about books they'd loved, places they wanted to travel, childhood memories that had shaped them. Jasmine found herself laughing more than she had in months, and she noticed that Ryan seemed more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. Thank you for this, she said as they prepared to leave. Thank you. This was the best evening I've had in years. Even though I turned down your business investment? Especially because you turned down my business investment, he said with a grin. As they walked out of the restaurant, Ryan turned to her. Can I see you again? I'd like that. How about this weekend? There's a farmer's market downtown on Saturday mornings. Nothing fancy, just good food and interesting people. That sounds perfect. He walked her to the bus stop, even though she protested that he didn't need to. As they waited for her bus to arrive, he took her hand gently. Jasmine, I want you to know that tonight meant a lot to me. Not just because you're beautiful or interesting, but because you see me. Not my money or my reputation, just me. I see someone who's kind and thoughtful and maybe a little lost, she said softly. But also someone who's trying to figure out who he really wants to be. And I see someone who's strong and determined and completely authentic. Someone who makes me want to be better. The bus pulled up, interrupting the moment. As Jasmine climbed the steps, she turned back to look at Ryan standing on the sidewalk. Saturday at 10, he called out. Saturday at 10, she confirmed. As the bus pulled away, she watched him through the window until he disappeared from view. Her heart was full of possibilities she'd never dared to imagine before. Saturday morning was crisp and clear, perfect weather for the farmer's market. Jasmine arrived a few minutes early and found Ryan already there, holding 2 cups of coffee and looking around nervously. You made it, he said, his face lighting up when he saw her. Did you think I wouldn't? I wasn't sure. I kept worrying you'd change your mind, decide this was all too complicated. Jasmine accepted the coffee gratefully. It is complicated. But that doesn't mean it's not worth exploring. They wandered through the market together, sampling fresh fruit, admiring handmade crafts and talking to the vendors. Jasmine was amazed by how easily Ryan connected with people: the farmer who grew organic tomatoes, the woman who made soap from goat's milk, the teenager selling his grandmother's homemade jam. "You're good at this," she observed as they walked away from a booth where Ryan had spent 10 minutes discussing sustainable farming practices. "Good at what?" "Talking to people. Real people. You seem so natural with them." "I used to be better at it," he said, "before I got caught up in boardrooms and business meetings. This reminds me of what I used to enjoy about people." They found a bench near the fountain in the center of the market and sat down to eat the pastries they'd bought from a French bakery booth. "Can I ask you something?" Jasmine said. "Anything. The night we met, you said the party was terrible and everyone was fake. But you go to those events all the time, right?" "Why?" Ryan sighed. "Obligation mostly. Networking. My company sponsors a lot of charities and I'm expected to show up and be the face of the business. It's part of the job. But you hate it." "I hate the pretense. The way everyone performs their wealth and status. The way conversations are always about deals or connections or who's buying what. I hate that I've become part of that world." "So change it." "It's not that simple, Jasmine. There are expectations." "There you go again with the expectations," she interrupted gently. "Whose expectations are these really?" Ryan was quiet for a long moment, watching a group of children chase pigeons near the fountain. "My father's, I guess. Even though he's gone. He always said that being wealthy came with responsibilities. That we had to maintain our position in society, represent the family name properly. What do you think he'd say if he knew you were happier talking to tomato farmers than business executives? He'd probably say I was wasting my potential. That I was being naive and irresponsible. And what do you think?" "I think." Ryan paused, considering his words carefully. "I think maybe I've been living his life instead of mine." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the bustle of the market around them. Jasmine found herself thinking about her own life, her own expectations. She'd always assumed she had to struggle, had to work multiple jobs just to get by. But what if there were other possibilities she hadn't considered? "What about you?" Ryan asked as if reading her thoughts. "Do you ever feel like you're living someone else's expectations?" "What do you mean?" "Your mother raised you to be strong and independent, right? To work hard and never ask for help. Those are admirable qualities, but sometimes I wonder if they prevent you from accepting good things when they come your way." Jasmine felt a flash of defensiveness. "There's nothing wrong with wanting to earn what you have." "No, there isn't. But there's also nothing wrong with accepting help from people who care about you. Or allowing yourself to dream bigger than just surviving." "I do dream big. Do you? Or do you dream safely? Dreams that feel achievable but not too scary?" The question stung because it hit close to home. Jasmine had always been practical, sensible. She dreamed of starting her own business someday, but she'd never really planned for it seriously. She dreamed of going back to school, but she'd never looked into programs or financial aid. "Maybe I'm just realistic," she said. "Maybe. Or maybe you're protecting yourself from disappointment." "And maybe you're protecting yourself from actually living," she shot back. They looked at each other in surprise, then both started laughing. "We're quite a pair, aren't we?" Ryan said. "Both of us playing it safe in different ways." "I guess we are." "What would not playing it safe look like for you?" Jasmine thought about it. "Applying for business school. Writing a real business plan. Maybe taking out a loan to start my cleaning business instead of waiting until I can afford it. And for me, it would probably mean stepping back from the day-to-day operations of the company. Hiring people I trust to run things while I figure out what I actually want to do with my life." "That sounds terrifying." "Absolutely terrifying," Ryan agreed. "But also exciting." They spent the rest of the morning exploring the market, buying fresh flowers for Jasmine's mother and a selection of artisanal cheeses that Ryan insisted they had to try. As they prepared to leave, Ryan turned to her with a serious expression. "Jasmine, I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "I've been thinking about our conversation the other night, about how you turned down my offer to invest in your business." "Ryan, we already discussed this." "Let me finish. You were right to turn me down. Not because I had bad intentions, but because you need to do this on your own terms. But I want you to know that if you ever need advice, or if you want someone to look over your business plan, or if you just want to talk through ideas, I'm here. Not as an investor, but as a friend." "A friend? Is that what we are?" "Because I have to admit, I'm hoping we might be more than that." Jasmine's heart skipped a beat. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since the night we met. I'm saying that you make me want to be a better person, a more authentic person. I'm saying that I'd like to keep seeing you if you're interested. Even though I'm a cleaning lady who lives in a tiny apartment and takes the bus everywhere? Especially because you're a cleaning lady who takes pride in her work, who loves her family, who stands up for what she believes in. Jasmine, you're the most genuine person I've ever met. Your job doesn't define you, your character does. Jasmine felt tears prick her eyes. I'd like to keep seeing you too. Good, Ryan said, relief evident in his voice. Because I was prepared to keep showing up at your work until you agreed. That would definitely be stalking. Desperate times, he said with a grin, echoing his words from earlier in the week. As they walked toward the bus stop, Jasmine felt something shifting inside her. For the first time in years, she was allowing herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, her life could be bigger than she'd imagined. Maybe she could have both her independence and her pride, and someone who loved her for exactly who she was. Ryan, she said as they waited for her bus. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For seeing me. For making me feel like I'm worth knowing. Jasmine, you're worth everything, he said softly, and she believed him. Over the next few weeks, Ryan and Jasmine fell into a comfortable routine. He would meet her after work sometimes and they'd grab coffee or take walks through the city. Other times she'd come to his office building during her lunch break, and they'd sit in the small cafe on the ground floor, talking and laughing like old friends. Jasmine was surprised by how easy it was to be with him. Ryan never made her feel out of place or inadequate. When she told him about her mother's bad days when the arthritis made it hard for her to get around, he listened without trying to fix everything. When she shared her worries about money or her frustrations with difficult clients, he offered comfort and encouragement without condescending to her. You know what I love about you? He said one afternoon as they shared a piece of chocolate cake at the cafe. What? You're not impressed by the wrong things. Most people I meet are fascinated by my money or my connections or the famous people I know. But you care about whether I'm kind to the waitress or if I remember what you told me about your mother's doctor's appointment. Those things matter more, Jasmine said simply. To you they do. That's what makes you special. In return, Jasmine found herself drawn to Ryan's quiet thoughtfulness. He remembered small details about her life and asked follow-up questions that showed he'd been listening. He was generous with his time and attention, but never in a way that made her feel like charity. One evening he showed up at the diner where she worked her second job. It was a busy Thursday night, and Jasmine was exhausted from running between tables, taking orders, and dealing with difficult customers. What are you doing here? She asked when she saw him sitting in one of her sections. Having dinner, he said innocently. Is that allowed? Ryan, this isn't your kind of place. What's my kind of place? Jasmine looked around the diner with its cracked vinyl booths, flickering fluorescent lights, and smell of grease from the kitchen. Somewhere with cloth napkins and wine lists. I like it here. It's authentic. Plus, the coffee is actually better than what they serve at those fancy restaurants. You're crazy. Maybe. Can I get a menu, or do I have to keep flirting with the waitress to get some service? Despite herself, Jasmine smiled. One menu coming up. She tried to treat him like any other customer, but it was hard to concentrate with him watching her work. She kept catching him observing the way she handled difficult customers with patience, how she remembered regular customers' usual orders, how she made sure the elderly man in the corner booth got extra attention because he seemed lonely. You're good at this, he said when she came to refill his coffee. It's just waitressing. No, it's not. You make people feel welcome. That guy over there lit up when you asked about his grandson. The woman by the window relaxed as soon as you joked with her about the weather. You have a gift for making people feel seen. I just treat people the way I'd want to be treated. Exactly. That's the gift. When her shift ended, Ryan walked her to the bus stop again. It had become their routine, and Jasmine looked forward to these quiet moments at the end of long days. Can I ask you something? She said as they waited. Sure. Why do you keep coming to see me at work? I mean, I'm glad you do, but I'm curious about your motivation. Ryan was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. I guess I want to understand your world. Not just the parts you share with me but the whole picture. I want to see you in your element. The diner is hardly my element. Isn't it? You were amazing tonight. You handled that angry customer with grace, you made that little kid laugh when he was having a meltdown, you checked on the old man 3 times to make sure he was okay. You turn a job into something meaningful. You see me differently than I see myself. How do you see yourself? Jasmine thought about it. Like someone who's just trying to get by. Someone who works hard but isn't particularly special. And how do I see you? I don't know. How do you see me? I see someone who's strong and compassionate and intelligent. I see someone who makes the world a little bit better everywhere she goes. I see someone who's beautiful inside and out, and who doesn't even realize how extraordinary she is." The bus arrived before Jasmine could respond, but Ryan's words stayed with her all the way home. She'd never thought of herself as extraordinary. She was just Jasmine, daughter, worker, dreamer of small dreams. But the way Ryan looked at her made her wonder if maybe she'd been selling herself short. The next week, Ryan invited her to visit his office building on a weekend when it was mostly empty. "I want to show you something," he said as they rode the elevator to the top floor. "What is it?" "You'll see." The elevator opened onto a floor Jasmine had never seen before. Instead of the usual corporate offices, this space was warm and inviting, with comfortable furniture, bookshelves lining the walls, and large windows that offered a stunning view of the city. "What is this place?" she asked. "My retreat. When the corporate world gets to be too much, I come up here to think. Or to write." "You write?" "I try to. Not very successfully, but I try." He led her to a desk by the windows where a laptop sat open, surrounded by notebooks and loose papers covered in handwriting. "What do you write about?" "Stories mostly. People I meet, things I observe. I've been working on a novel, but I'm not sure it's any good. Can I read some of it?" Ryan looked nervous. "I've never shown my writing to anyone before." "You don't have to if you're not comfortable." "No, I want to. Your opinion matters to me." He pulled up a document on his laptop, a short story about a pizza delivery driver who dreams of becoming a journalist. As Jasmine read, she realized it was partly autobiographical but also something more. Ryan had captured the loneliness of working late nights, the small moments of connection with customers, the way dreams could feel both urgent and impossible. "This is beautiful," she said when she finished. "Really? Really? You have a gift, Ryan. This made me feel something. I used to think about writing full-time. Before I took over the company." "What's stopping you now?" "The same thing that's always stopped me. Fear, I guess. Fear of failing, of disappointing people, of not being good enough." "Or fear of succeeding," Jasmine suggested. "Fear of discovering that you're actually talented and then having to decide what to do about it." Ryan stared at her. "How do you do that?" "Do what?" "See right through me like that. Cut straight to the truth." "Maybe because I recognize the feeling. I do the same thing. I stay in my comfort zone because it's safer than risking disappointment." They spent the rest of the afternoon in his writing retreat, talking about dreams and fears and the stories they wanted to tell. Ryan showed her more of his work, and Jasmine found herself sharing some of her own writing business plans and ideas she'd been jotting down for years but never taken seriously. "These are incredible," Ryan said, reading through her notebooks. "You've thought of everything: target markets, pricing strategies, competitive analysis. This isn't just a dream, Jasmine. This is a real business plan. It's just scribbles in a notebook." "No, it's not. This is professional level work. You could start this business tomorrow if you wanted to." "I don't have the money." "You don't need as much as you think. Most of what you've outlined here could be started with basic equipment and a few initial clients. You could build it gradually while keeping your other jobs." Jasmine felt a flutter of excitement mixed with terror. "You really think so?" "I know so. The question is, are you ready to stop playing it safe?" As the sun set over the city, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Jasmine realized that something fundamental had shifted between them. They weren't just getting to know each other anymore, they were inspiring each other to be braver, to dream bigger, to become the people they were meant to be. And that, she thought as Ryan walked her to the elevator, was the most romantic thing of all. Monday morning arrived with unexpected drama. Jasmine was cleaning the lobby of the office building where she worked when Mrs. Patterson approached her with a stern expression and a man in an expensive suit. "Jasmine, this is Mr. Harrison from Human Resources. He needs to speak with you." Jasmine's heart sank. She'd been careful not to let her relationship with Ryan interfere with her work, but maybe someone had complained about his visits. "Is there somewhere private we can talk?" Mr. Harrison asked. They went to a small conference room and Jasmine prepared herself for the worst. Instead, Mr. Harrison surprised her. "Ms. Brown, we've received a very interesting inquiry about you. Ryan Mitchell specifically requested that Elite Cleaning Services assign you to handle all of his company's cleaning contracts." Jasmine's mouth fell open. "What?" "It's quite unusual, actually. Most clients just want good service and don't care which specific employees we send. But Mr. Mitchell was very insistent that you personally oversee all work done in his buildings." "I don't understand." "Neither do I, frankly. But it's a very lucrative contract, easily our biggest client. Mr. Mitchell has offered to triple our usual rates, with the stipulation that you receive a significant raise and be promoted to account manager for his properties. Jasmine felt like the room was spinning. He did what? The promotion comes with a substantial salary increase and benefits. You'd be managing a team of cleaners across multiple buildings instead of doing the cleaning yourself. After Mr. Harrison left, Jasmine sat in the conference room trying to process what had just happened. Ryan had arranged for her to get a promotion and a raise without even asking her. Her first instinct was gratitude. This could change her life, make it possible for her to help her mother more, maybe even start saving money for her own business. But as the initial excitement faded, other feelings crept in. Anger, embarrassment, a sense of betrayal. She called Ryan as soon as her shift ended. Jasmine, I was just thinking about you. How was your day? We need to talk. Something in her tone must have warned him. Okay. Where do you want to meet? Your office. Now. 20 minutes later, Jasmine walked into Ryan's corporate office for the first time. It was exactly what she'd expected: huge windows, expensive furniture, and a view that probably cost more than she made in a year. What's this about? Ryan asked, gesturing for her to sit down. You know exactly what this is about. Jasmine remained standing. The promotion. The raise. The contract with Elite Cleaning Services. Oh. Ryan had the grace to look sheepish. You heard about that. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Did you think I was stupid enough to believe it was just a coincidence? Jasmine, let me explain. No, let me explain something to you. I told you I needed to do things on my own. I told you I didn't want your help. And what did you do? You went behind my back and manipulated my employer into promoting me. I was trying to help you get what you deserve. You're overqualified for the job you have, and you were being underpaid for the work you do. That's not your decision to make. I know, but nothing. Jasmine's voice rose. Do you have any idea how this makes me look? How this makes me feel? Everyone at work is going to think I'm sleeping with you to get ahead. That's not true. Isn't it? What else are they supposed to think? I'm a cleaning lady who suddenly gets promoted to account manager with a huge raise, and it just happens to coincide with me dating the client? It looks terrible, Ryan. Ryan stood up and moved toward her, but she stepped back. I didn't think about it that way, he said quietly. Of course you didn't. Because you've never had to worry about what people think of you. You've never had to work twice as hard as everyone else just to be taken seriously. You've never had people assume you got something because of your looks or who you know instead of your abilities. You're right. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't take back what you did. What can I do to make it right? Cancel the contract. Tell them you changed your mind. Jasmine, that would probably get you fired. They're counting on this contract now. She sank into a chair, overwhelmed by the impossible situation he'd created. You've ruined everything. I was trying to help you. No, you were trying to fix me. Like I'm some problem that needs solving. That's not. Yes, it is. You saw my life and decided it wasn't good enough. You decided I needed rescuing. Ryan sat down across from her, looking genuinely distressed. I saw someone I care about working 3 jobs just to pay for her mother's medication. I saw someone with incredible talent and intelligence being overlooked and underpaid. I wanted to change that. But you didn't ask me what I wanted. What do you want? I want to earn my success. I want people to respect me for my work, not for who I'm dating. I want to know that when I achieve something, it's because I deserved it. You do deserve this promotion, Jasmine. You're the best employee that company has. You're professional, reliable, skilled. But that's not why I got promoted, is it? I got promoted because my boyfriend has money and influence. The word boyfriend hung in the air between them. They'd been seeing each other for weeks, but neither had used that label before. Is that what I am? Ryan asked softly. Your boyfriend? I don't know what you are, Jasmine said honestly. I thought you were someone who saw me as an equal. But equals don't manipulate each other's lives without permission. I didn't mean to manipulate you. I meant to support you. There's a difference between support and control, Ryan. Support would have been encouraging me to ask for a raise myself. Support would have been helping me practice what I wanted to say to my boss. What you did was take away my agency. Ryan was quiet for a long moment, processing her words. You're absolutely right, he said finally. I handled this completely wrong. I got so caught up in wanting to fix things for you that I forgot to consider what you actually wanted. Why did you do it? Because I hate seeing you struggle when I have the power to help. Because I care about you and I want your life to be easier. And because. He paused, looking uncomfortable. Because what? Because I'm used to solving problems with money. It's what I do, identify an issue and throw resources at it until it goes away. But you're not a problem to be solved, and I'm sorry I treated you like one. Jasmine felt some of her anger deflating, replaced by sadness. I need to think about this. Of course. Take all the time you need. I should go. Jasmine, wait. Can I ask you something? What? Do you want to keep seeing me? After this, do you still want to try to make this work? She looked at his hopeful, anxious face and felt her heart breaking a little. I don't know, Ryan. I really don't know. As she walked out of his office building, Jasmine felt like she was leaving more than just a place. She was leaving the possibility of something beautiful, something that could have been real if only they'd both been braver about being honest with each other. The promotion was still waiting for her, along with all the complications it would bring. And Ryan was still the same person who had made her laugh and dream bigger and feel worthy of love. But trust, once broken, was not easily repaired. And Jasmine wasn't sure if what they had was strong enough to survive this kind of betrayal, no matter how well-intentioned it had been. For the next week, Jasmine threw herself into her work with renewed intensity. She accepted the promotion partly because she needed the money, and partly because she was determined to prove that she could excel at it regardless of how she'd gotten it. She worked longer hours, double-checked every detail, and went above and beyond to show that she deserved the position. Her colleagues' reactions were mixed. Some were genuinely happy for her success, while others whispered behind her back about the suspicious timing of her promotion. Jasmine tried to ignore the gossip, but it stung every time she overheard someone suggesting she'd slept her way to the top. She hadn't heard from Ryan since their confrontation in his office, and she told herself she was glad. The last thing she needed was him complicating an already difficult situation. That's why she was shocked when he appeared at the diner Thursday evening, looking nervous and out of place in his expensive suit among the worn vinyl booths and fluorescent lighting. "What are you doing here?" she asked when she saw him sitting in her section. "Having dinner," he said, just like before. But this time there was an uncertainty in his voice that hadn't been there during his previous visits. "Ryan, I told you I needed space." "I know. I'm not here to pressure you or ask you to forgive me. I'm just here to eat." Jasmine frowned. "You don't even like diner food." "Actually, I've discovered I love diner food. The meatloaf here is incredible." Against her better judgment, Jasmine found herself curious. "You've been here before?" "This week. Every night since Monday." "Why?" Ryan looked uncomfortable. "Can I get a menu first? I'm starving." As the evening progressed, Jasmine watched Ryan from the corner of her eye. He wasn't putting on a show or trying to get her attention. He simply ate his dinner, read a book, and left a generous tip. When other customers were loud or demanding, he didn't complain. When the elderly man in the corner needed help reading the menu, Ryan quietly offered assistance. "He's been here every night this week," said Maria, one of the other waitresses, during a brief lull. "Orders the same thing, sits in the same booth, minds his own business." "What does he order?" "Meatloaf and mashed potatoes. Coffee black. Apple pie if we have it fresh." Jasmine was puzzled. Ryan had sophisticated taste, she'd seen him appreciate fine wine and gourmet food. But he was eating comfort food at a greasy spoon diner night after night. When her shift ended, she was surprised to find Ryan waiting by the bus stop. "I'm not following you," he said quickly when he saw her expression. "I take the bus now." "You take the bus?" "I sold my car." Jasmine stared at him. "You sold your car? Your BMW?" "I sold all of them. The BMW, the Mercedes, the weekend sports car. I don't need 3 cars when I can take public transportation." "Ryan, that's crazy. Why would you do that?" "Because I've been thinking about what you said. About earning things instead of having them handed to me. About understanding what it's like to live in the real world." The bus arrived and they both got on. Ryan pulled out a monthly pass, and Jasmine noticed he moved through the routine like he'd been doing it for years instead of days. "This is ridiculous," she said as they found seats. "You don't need to prove anything by making your life harder." "I'm not making my life harder. I'm making it more real." "What does that mean?" "It means I spend an hour each day riding the bus with people who work hard for their money. It means I eat at places where the food is good and honest instead of overpriced and pretentious. It means I'm remembering what it feels like to be a regular person instead of a rich person playing at being regular." Jasmine didn't know what to say to that. It was such an unexpected response to their fight that she found herself off balance. "I never asked you to change your whole life," she said finally. "I know. I'm not doing this for you, I'm doing it for me. You made me realize that I've been living in a bubble, isolated from the real world by money and privilege. I want to understand the world you live in, not so I can fix it for you, but so I can be a better person. They rode in silence for a few minutes, the bus swaying gently as it made its way through the city streets. The promotion is going well, Jasmine said eventually. I'm glad to hear that. Are you enjoying the work? I am, actually. It's challenging and I like managing people and solving problems. I think I'm good at it. I'm sure you are. You're good at everything you do. Ryan, about what happened. You don't owe me an explanation or an apology, he interrupted. I was wrong. I overstepped and I hurt you. I'm sorry for that. I know you were trying to help. That doesn't make it right. I treated you like you couldn't handle your own life, and that was patronizing and disrespectful. The bus reached Jasmine's stop and she stood to get off. Ryan remained seated. This isn't your stop? She asked. I live in the opposite direction now. You moved? I sold the penthouse. I have a regular apartment now, about 20 minutes from here. Jasmine felt overwhelmed by all these changes. Ryan, you don't have to reinvent your entire life because of one fight. I'm not reinventing my life because of our fight. I'm reinventing it because our fight made me realize I wasn't living the life I actually wanted. As the bus doors closed and Ryan disappeared from view, Jasmine walked home with her head spinning. She'd expected him to either disappear completely or show up with grand gestures and expensive gifts. She hadn't expected him to quietly transform his entire lifestyle. Over the next few days she found herself thinking about him constantly. What did his new apartment look like? Was he really happy eating meatloaf every night? Was this all just an elaborate performance to win her back, or was he genuinely trying to change? The following Thursday she got her answer. Ryan was at the diner again, but this time he wasn't alone. He was sitting with an elderly woman, Mrs. Chin, one of the regular customers who came in every week for the early bird special. She was having trouble with her medication, Maria explained when Jasmine asked. Something about insurance not covering it? Your friend offered to help her figure out the paperwork. Jasmine watched as Ryan patiently walked Mrs. Chen through a stack of forms, his expression focused and kind. This wasn't a show for her benefit, she was working on the other side of the restaurant, and he hadn't even noticed her yet. When Mrs. Chen left, looking relieved and grateful, Ryan remained at his usual table. He ordered his usual meal and pulled out his book, settling in for another quiet evening. Excuse me, Jasmine said, approaching his table during her break. Oh, hi, Ryan looked up, surprised. I didn't see you come in. Can I sit down? Of course. Jasmine slid into the booth across from him. That was a nice thing you did for Mrs. Chen. She was stressed about her medication costs. I know something about navigating insurance bureaucracy. You've been coming here every night for 2 weeks. The food is good, and the atmosphere is relaxing after work. Work? I got a job. Part-time, 3 days a week. I'm writing for the community newspaper. Jasmine's eyebrows shot up. You're working as a journalist? Local news, community events, human interest stories. Nothing glamorous, but it's real reporting. And I love it. What about your company? I hired a management team to handle the day-to-day operations. I still oversee the big decisions, but I'm not chained to the office anymore. Ryan, I don't understand. Why are you doing all this? He closed his book and looked at her directly. Because you were right about everything. I was living someone else's life, hiding behind money and expectations instead of figuring out who I actually wanted to be. I was trying to fix your life because I was too afraid to fix my own. And now I'm figuring out who Ryan Mitchell is when he's not defined by his bank account. And I'm discovering that I like him a lot better. Jasmine studied his face, looking for signs of pretense or performance. But all she saw was honesty and a kind of peace she'd never seen in him before. Are you happy? She asked. Happier than I've been in years. I wake up excited about the story I'm working on. I talk to real people about real problems. I eat food that tastes good instead of food that's supposed to impress people. What about the money? Don't you miss the luxury? Ryan smiled. I still have plenty of money, Jasmine. I just don't let it define me anymore. And honestly, the best moments of my life lately have been sitting in this diner, eating meatloaf and reading a good book. No champagne or caviar required. You could have done all of this without giving up everything else. Maybe. But I needed to prove to myself that I could be happy without all the trappings. And I needed to understand the world you live in, not as an outsider looking in, but as someone who actually experiences it. Jasmine felt something shifting in her chest, a combination of admiration, confusion, and something that might have been hope. "Why are you telling me all this?" she asked. "Because I want you to know that when I say I care about you, it's not because I think you need saving. It's because you inspired me to save myself." "Ryan." "I'm not asking for anything," he said quickly. "I'm not asking you to forgive me or give me another chance. I just wanted you to know that you changed my life for the better, even if I messed up our relationship." Before Jasmine could respond, her manager called her back to work. She spent the rest of her shift thinking about everything Ryan had told her, her emotions swinging between skepticism and genuine surprise. As she was leaving that night, she found a note tucked under her windshield wiper, except she didn't have a car. The note was attached to the bus stop sign. "Thank you for helping me remember who I wanted to be." That weekend, Jasmine found herself walking past the farmer's market where she and Ryan had spent that perfect Saturday morning weeks ago. She told herself she was just curious, just wanted to buy some fresh vegetables for her mother. She wasn't looking for Ryan, but she found him anyway. He was at the same French bakery booth they'd visited together, but this time he was interviewing the owner for what appeared to be a newspaper article. "The secret is in the butter," the baker was saying in accented English. "My grandmother, she teaches me this recipe in Lyon. You cannot make real croissant without real butter." Ryan nodded, taking careful notes. "And you've been making them the same way for how long?" 23 years. Every morning for a clock I start the dough." Jasmine watched from a distance as Ryan asked thoughtful questions about the baker's journey from France to America, about keeping traditions alive in a new country, about the challenges of running a small business. This was a different Ryan than the one she'd met at the charity gala, focused, engaged, genuinely interested in someone else's story. When the interview finished, she saw him buy a box of pastries and walk over to Mrs. Chen, who was examining the produce at a nearby stand. He offered her the pastries with a smile, and she patted his arm affectionately like he was a favorite grandson. This wasn't performance or charity, it was genuine kindness. Community. The kind of connections he'd told her he missed. "He's different now," said a voice beside her. Jasmine turned to see Maria from the diner, carrying a bag of fresh vegetables. "You know him? He comes in every night, remember? But it's not just that. He talks to everyone, the regulars, the staff, even the guy who comes in drunk sometimes. He doesn't act like he's better than anyone." "How do you know who he is?" Maria smiled. "Honey, that man's picture has been in the business section of the newspaper for years. But the way he acts now, you'd never know he was rich. He's just nice. Real nice." Jasmine watched as Ryan helped Mrs. Chin carry her heavy bags to a nearby bench, chatting with her in what appeared to be comfortable conversation. "He asks about you sometimes," Maria continued. "Not pushy-like, but he'll mention how hard you're working, how proud he is of your promotion. He never says anything bad about what happened between you two." "What does he say?" "That he made mistakes. That he hopes you're happy. That you deserve all the good things coming your way." As if sensing her presence, Ryan looked up and saw her across the market. Their eyes met for a moment, and he smiled, not the hopeful, expectant smile she might have expected, but something gentler. A smile that said he was glad to see her, without asking for anything in return. Jasmine found herself walking toward him before she consciously decided to do so. "Hi," she said when she reached him and Mrs. Chin. "Jasmine," Mrs. Chin exclaimed. "You know my friend Ryan? He helps me with my insurance papers. Such a good boy." "We've met," Jasmine said, trying not to laugh at hearing billionaire Ryan Mitchell described as a good boy. "I was just telling Mrs. Chin about the article I'm writing about immigrant entrepreneurs," Ryan said. "She's been running a successful alterations business out of her apartment for 15 years. 20 years next month," Mrs. Chin corrected proudly. "I fix everything: dresses, suits, wedding gowns. My hands are still steady." They chatted for a few more minutes before Mrs. Chen had to leave for another appointment. After she was gone, Jasmine and Ryan stood in slightly awkward silence. "How's the new job?" Jasmine asked finally. "Amazing. Yesterday I interviewed a teacher who's been working in the same elementary school for 40 years. Today it's Mrs. Chen. Next week I'm doing a piece about the community garden project. Real stories about real people. You seem lighter." "I feel lighter. Like I've been carrying around weight I didn't even realize was there. The weight of expectations? The weight of pretending to be someone I wasn't." He paused. "How are you doing? How's the promotion going?" "Better than I expected. It turns out I'm actually good at management." "Who knew?" "I knew," Ryan said softly. They walked slowly through the market, not really shopping, just enjoying the bustle of people and the warm sunshine. It felt familiar and comfortable, like slipping back into an old routine. "Can I ask you something?" Jasmine said as they stopped to admire some handmade jewelry. "Anything. This whole transformation, is it real? Or is it just an elaborate way to win me back?" Ryan was quiet for a long moment, considering his answer carefully. "It started because of you," he admitted. "Because our fight made me realize how disconnected I'd become from the person I wanted to be. But it continued because of me. Because I discovered that this life feels right in a way my old life never did. And if I told you right now that we could never be together again, would you go back to your penthouse and your fancy cars?" "No," he said without hesitation. "This is who I am now. This is who I choose to be, regardless of what happens between us." Jasmine believed him. There was something in his voice, in the way he carried himself, that convinced her this wasn't a performance. "I've missed talking to you," she admitted. "I've missed you too. Everything about you." "Ryan. I know. I know you need time to trust me again. I know I hurt you and broke something between us. I'm not asking you to forget that or pretend it didn't happen." "Then what are you asking?" "Nothing. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just grateful to see you, grateful that you're willing to talk to me. Anything else? Well, that's up to you." As they reached the edge of the market, Jasmine realized she was at a crossroads. She could walk away now, go back to her new life and try to forget about Ryan Mitchell. Or she could take a chance on something that had already proven to be complicated and potentially heartbreaking. "Would you like to get coffee sometime?" she heard herself asking. "Are you sure?" "No. But I'm willing to try if you are." Ryan's smile was like sunshine breaking through clouds. "I would love that." "Just coffee," she said firmly. "And conversation." "I'm not ready for anything more than that." "Just coffee," he agreed. "And conversation. And maybe, if we're lucky, the chance to figure out if we can build something real this time." As they parted ways at the bus stop, both taking the same bus now, in opposite directions, Jasmine felt something she hadn't experienced in weeks. Hope. Not the wild, unrealistic hope of fairy tales, but the steady, cautious hope of two people willing to work for something worth having. Coffee turned into a weekly routine. Every Tuesday after Jasmine's morning shift, she and Ryan would meet at a small cafe near the farmer's market. It was neutral territory, not too close to either of their worlds, just a quiet place where they could talk without distractions. The first few meetings were careful, almost formal. They talked about work, about books they were reading, about safe topics that didn't venture too deep into their complicated history. But gradually, the walls between them began to come down again. "I read your article about the community garden," Jasmine said during their third coffee date. "It was beautiful." "You read the community newspaper?" "I may have picked up a copy. Or 3. She smiled. "You're a good writer, Ryan. Really good. It feels different than anything I've ever done. More meaningful, somehow. Because you're telling stories that matter to people. Because I'm finally doing something I love instead of something I'm supposed to do." Their conversations gradually grew more personal. Ryan told her about his therapy sessions. He'd started seeing a counselor to work through his relationship with money and power. Jasmine shared her struggles with imposter syndrome at work, how she sometimes felt like everyone was waiting for her to fail so they could say they'd known all along she didn't deserve the promotion. "You know what I've learned?" Ryan said one afternoon as they walked through the city after their coffee. "Most people are too busy worrying about their own lives to spend much time judging yours." "Easy for you to say. You've never had to prove you belong somewhere." "Haven't I? I spent my whole adult life trying to prove I was worthy of my father's company, worthy of the family name. The difference is my proving ground was boardrooms and charity galas. Yours is office buildings and diner shifts. But you had advantages I never had." "Absolutely. I'm not pretending we started from the same place. But the feeling of not being good enough? The fear that people will figure out you're a fraud? That's universal." Jasmine considered this. "When did you realize you were good enough?" "Last week, actually. When I finished my article about Mrs. Chen and realized I'd written something that might actually make a difference in her life. For the first time, I felt like I'd earned something through my own effort and talent. That's a good feeling. The best. Have you felt it yet? About your promotion?" "I'm getting there. My boss told me yesterday that client satisfaction has gone up 20% since I took over the account management. He said I have a gift for understanding what people need." "You do. You always have." These small moments of recognition and encouragement began to rebuild the trust between them. Ryan never pushed for more than she was ready to give, and Jasmine found herself looking forward to their Tuesday meetings with an anticipation that surprised her. One afternoon, Jasmine arrived at the cafe to find Ryan looking unusually excited. "Good news?" she asked as she sat down. "I got an assignment from the city newspaper. A real investigative piece about affordable housing." "Ryan, that's amazing. It's just freelance work, but it's a start. They want me to look into how development projects are affecting long-time residents in low-income neighborhoods." "That's important work." "It is. And I know exactly where to start my research." He was looking at her expectantly, and Jasmine realized what he was asking. "You want to interview people in my neighborhood?" "Only if you're comfortable with it. I know it's your community, and I don't want to be some outsider coming in and exploiting people's stories." "What would you need?" "Introductions mostly. People who trust you and might be willing to talk to me about their experiences. I want to make sure their voices are heard accurately." Jasmine thought about it. Her neighbors had been dealing with rising rents and developers trying to buy out longtime residents. Their stories deserved to be told, and Ryan had proven he could write with empathy and respect. "Okay," she said. "But I have conditions." "Name them." "You don't go anywhere without me. You don't interview anyone without me present to make sure they're comfortable. And you run the article by me before you submit it." "Deal." The following Saturday, Jasmine led Ryan through her neighborhood, introducing him to people she'd known her whole life. Mrs. Rodriguez, whose family had lived in the same apartment for 30 years until developers forced them out. Mr. Washington, who ran the corner grocery store and was struggling to pay increasing rent. Young families who were being priced out of the only community they'd ever known. Ryan listened to each story with genuine compassion, asking thoughtful questions and taking careful notes. He never made promises he couldn't keep or offered solutions that seemed unrealistic. He simply listened and documented, treating each person's experience as important and valid. "He's not what I expected," Mrs. Rodriguez told Jasmine in Spanish while Ryan was interviewing her teenage son about how the move had affected his schooling. "What did you expect? Rich white boy playing journalist. But he listens like he really cares." "He does care," Jasmine realized as she said it. "He's learned how to care about things that don't directly benefit him." After they finished the interviews, Ryan walked Jasmine home. She lived in a small apartment building that had seen better days, with chipped paint and a front door that stuck. She'd never been embarrassed about where she lived, but she'd also never brought Ryan here before. "Would you like to come up?" she asked as they reached her building. "I'd like you to meet my mother." "Are you sure?" "She's been asking about you ever since I mentioned we were talking again." Jasmine's mother, Gloria Brown, was a small woman with graying hair and eyes that missed nothing. She was sitting in her favorite chair when they entered, reading a romance novel and listening to jazz music. "Mom, this is Ryan." Gloria looked him up and down appraisingly. "So you're the young man who's been occupying my daughter's thoughts." "It's nice to meet you, Mrs. Brown." "Call me Gloria." "Sit down, let me look at you properly." Ryan sat on the couch while Jasmine made tea, and Gloria subjected him to what could only be described as a gentle interrogation. She asked about his work, his family, his intentions toward her daughter. Ryan answered honestly without trying to impress her or downplay his background. "My daughter tells me you made some mistakes," Gloria said bluntly. "Yes, ma'am. I did. I overstepped and hurt her feelings. I'm trying to do better." "Good." Jasmine is strong, but she's also got a tender heart. She doesn't deserve to be hurt by someone who claims to care about her. No, she doesn't. She deserves someone who respects her independence and supports her dreams without trying to control them. Gloria nodded approvingly. "You've learned something then?" When Jasmine returned with the tea, she found her mother and Ryan discussing his article about the community garden, with Gloria offering suggestions about other local stories that deserved attention. "Your mother is remarkable," Ryan told Jasmine as they sat on her small balcony later, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. "She is. She raised me by herself after my father left, worked 2 jobs, never complained. She taught me everything about strength and dignity." "I can see where you get it from. What do you think she thought of you?" "I think she's reserving judgment until she sees how I treat her daughter over time." "Smart woman. Very smart. And protective. I like that about her." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city come alive with evening lights. Jasmine felt a peace she hadn't experienced in months, sitting here with Ryan in her own space, her own world. "Thank you for today," Ryan said eventually. "For what?" "For trusting me with your community. For letting me meet your mother. For giving me a chance to prove I can do better." "Are you doing better?" "I think so. I hope so. I'm trying to be the kind of person who deserves your trust." You're getting there, Jasmine said softly. As Ryan prepared to leave, Gloria called him over for a private word. Jasmine watched from the kitchen as her mother spoke quietly to him, pointing her finger for emphasis. Whatever she said made Ryan nod seriously and shake her hand with obvious respect. What did she say to you? Jasmine asked as she walked him to the bus stop. She told me that if I hurt you again, she knows where I live now and she's not afraid to use it. She's protective. She should be. You're worth protecting. Ryan. Yeah. I'm glad you came today. I'm glad you met her and I'm glad she likes you. Does she like me? She does. She told me you have good eyes and honest hands, whatever that means. Ryan smiled. It means she thinks I'm trustworthy. Are you? I'm trying to be. Every day I'm trying to be. As his bus arrived, Ryan turned to her one more time. Jasmine, I know we're taking this slow and I respect that. But I want you to know that these past few weeks, getting to know you again, seeing your world, meeting your mother, it's been the best part of my new life. Mine too, she admitted. Good night, Jasmine. Good night, Ryan. As the bus pulled away, Jasmine realized that somewhere along the way, she'd stopped protecting her heart quite so carefully. The walls she'd built after their fight were slowly coming down, replaced by something that felt like the beginning of real trust. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to imagine what it might be like to try again, not as the cleaning lady and the billionaire, but as Jasmine and Ryan, two people who were learning how to be themselves and love each other for exactly who they were. 3 months later, life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Ryan's article about affordable housing had been published to great acclaim, leading to more freelance assignments and even a part-time position at the city newspaper. Jasmine had been promoted again, this time to regional manager, overseeing cleaning contracts across the entire downtown district. Their Tuesday coffee dates had expanded to include weekend farmers market visits, evening walks, and occasional dinners at places like Tony's restaurant. They were taking things slowly, rebuilding trust brick by brick, but Jasmine could feel something real and solid growing between them. That's why the envelope that arrived on a Thursday morning felt like a bomb going off in her carefully reconstructed world. Jasmine was sorting through her mail when she saw it, an official-looking envelope from Metropolitan Medical Center, addressed to her mother. Since Gloria had been having trouble with her arthritis and had asked Jasmine to help manage her medical correspondence, she opened it without thinking. What she found inside made her sink into the nearest chair, her hands shaking. It was a statement showing that Gloria Brown's medical bills for the past 6 months had been paid in full by a charitable foundation. The total amount was staggering, over $30,000 for specialists, medications, physical therapy, and tests that their insurance had refused to cover. Attached to the statement was a letter from the hospital's financial aid office, thanking Mrs. Brown for her participation in the Mitchell Foundation Community Health Initiative. Mitchell Foundation. Jasmine stared at the paperwork until the words blurred together. Ryan had been paying her mother's medical bills. For months. Without telling her. She called in sick to work and spent the day pacing her apartment, fury and betrayal warring in her chest. By the time evening came, she was ready for battle. She found Ryan at the newspaper office, working late on an article about public school funding. He looked up with a smile when she appeared in the doorway, but his expression quickly changed when he saw her face. Jasmine? What's wrong? She placed the hospital statement on his desk without a word. Ryan's face went pale as he read it. I can explain. Can you? Can you explain how my mother's medical bills got paid by a foundation that happens to share your last name? It's not what you think. It's not? Because what I think is that you've been lying to me for months. While we were having coffee and talking about trust and taking things slow, you were secretly manipulating my family's life. I wasn't manipulating anything. I was helping. Without asking. Without telling me. How is that different from what you did before? Ryan stood up, running his hands through his hair in frustration. Because this time I wasn't trying to control your life. I was just trying to make sure your mother got the care she needed. That's not your decision to make. She was in pain, Jasmine. Real pain. And you were working yourself to death trying to pay for treatment that insurance should have covered but didn't. So you decided to play God? I decided to use my resources to help people I care about. People you care about? Or ways to ease your guilty conscience? The words hit their mark. Ryan flinched as if she'd slapped him. That's not fair. Isn't it? You mess up our relationship so you fix it by throwing money at my problems. You can't buy forgiveness, Ryan. That's not what this was about. Then what was it about? Because from where I'm standing it looks like the same pattern. You see a problem in my life, you solve it with money, you don't bother to ask what I want. Your mother was suffering. My mother was my responsibility. They stared at each other across the small office, both breathing hard. Other journalists had stopped working to listen to their argument, and Jasmine suddenly realized they were providing entertainment for Ryan's colleagues. "Can we continue this somewhere private?" she asked through gritted teeth. "Of course. Let me get my coat." They walked to a nearby park in tense silence. It was dark, with only a few streetlights providing illumination, but Jasmine needed somewhere she could speak freely without worrying about an audience. "When did it start?" she asked when they found a bench away from the walking paths. "About a month after we started having coffee again." "A month? Ryan, that was 3 months ago." "I know. Every Tuesday we sat there talking about trust and honesty, and you were hiding this from me. I was trying to protect you." "From what? From making my own decisions? From taking care of my own family? From having to choose between your mother's health and your financial security?" The anguish in his voice stopped her cold. For the first time since finding the statement, Jasmine really looked at Ryan's face. He wasn't just defensive, he was genuinely distressed. "What do you mean?" she asked more quietly. "I mean, I saw what it was doing to you. Working 3 jobs, skipping meals to save money, lying awake at night worrying about whether you could afford her next doctor's appointment. I watched the woman I care about destroying herself trying to save the person she loves most in the world. That was my choice to make. And I respected that choice. I never offered to pay the bills directly. I never tried to take over her care. I just found a way to help without taking away your agency. By lying. By creating a program that your mother qualified for based on her medical needs and financial situation. The Mitchell Foundation has been providing medical assistance to low-income patients for years. She met all the criteria. Criteria you probably wrote specifically to include her." Ryan was quiet for a moment. "The foundation is real, Jasmine. It helps hundreds of people every year. But yes, I may have expanded the eligibility requirements after I learned about your mother's situation. So you created a fake charity to hide the fact that you were paying our bills." "It's not a fake charity. It's a real foundation that does real good in the community. And yes, it allowed me to help your mother without making you feel like you owed me something." Jasmine stood up and started pacing. "Do you have any idea how this makes me feel?" "Angry. Betrayed. I get that. Humiliated, Ryan. It makes me feel humiliated. All this time I thought I was managing to take care of my family. I was proud of how hard I was working, proud that I was making it on my own. But really, I was just another charity case for the rich guy to fix. That's not how I see you. How you see me doesn't matter. How you made me feel matters. And right now, I feel like everything good that's happened in my life lately was built on a lie." "Not everything. Your promotion was real, you earned that. Your success at work is real. The way your mother's health has improved is real. But it was all subsidized by your guilt money. It was subsidized by someone who loves you wanting to help in the only way he knew how." The word, love, hung in the air between them like a challenge. Jasmine stopped pacing and stared at him. "Don't," she said quietly. "Don't what? Don't use that word to justify what you did. Don't tell me this was about love when it was really about control. It wasn't about control. Then what was it about? Because I'm having a hard time understanding how someone who claims to love me could lie to my face for 3 months. Ryan stood up and moved toward her, but she stepped back. "It was about being terrified," he said simply. "Terrified that you would never forgive me for my first mistake. Terrified that you would disappear from my life if things got too hard. Terrified that I would lose the best thing that ever happened to me because I didn't know how to help without overstepping. So you decided to overstep anyway, just more secretly this time. I decided to find a way to make sure the woman I loved didn't have to choose between her pride and her mother's life. That choice wasn't yours to take away from me." "You're right. It wasn't. And I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix this, Ryan. Sorry doesn't change the fact that you made the same mistake twice. Sorry doesn't make me trust you again." "What would make you trust me again?" The question was so quiet, so vulnerable, that it almost broke through her anger. "Almost. I don't know," she said honestly. "I don't know if anything could." Ryan's face crumpled slightly, but he nodded. "I understand." "Do you?" "Because I feel like we've been here before. You promising to do better, me giving you another chance, and then discovering that you never really changed at all." "I did change. Everything about my life is different now. Everything except the part where you make decisions about my life without consulting me." "You're right," he said quietly. "I messed up. Again. And this time, I don't have any excuses. No, you don't. They stood in silence for a long moment, the weight of broken trust settling between them like a wall. What happens now? Ryan asked finally. Now I go home and figure out how to pay back $30,000 to a fake charity foundation. Jasmine, you can't. I can and I will. I won't be in debt to you. I won't have this hanging over my head. It's not a debt. It was a gift. It was a lie. And I don't accept gifts built on lies. As she turned to walk away, Ryan called after her. Jasmine, please. Don't let this be the end. I know I messed up, but what we have is real. What we built together is real. She turned back to look at him, this man who had somehow become so important to her life, and felt her heart breaking all over again. Is it real, Ryan? Because I don't know anymore. I don't know what parts of our relationship were genuine and what parts were just you trying to manage me. All of it was genuine. My feelings for you, my respect for you, my love for you, all of that is real. But your honesty isn't. And without honesty, the rest doesn't matter. As she walked away from him through the dark park, Jasmine felt like she was leaving more than just a relationship behind. She was leaving the possibility of love, the dream of partnership, the hope that maybe, despite everything, they could have found a way to make it work. But trust, she thought as tears began to fall, was like a piece of glass. Once broken, it could never be quite the same again. No matter how carefully you tried to put the pieces back together, the cracks would always show. And she was tired of living with broken glass. The next few weeks passed in a blur of anger, sadness, and stubborn determination. Jasmine threw herself into work with renewed intensity, staying late every night and taking on extra projects. She researched payment plans with the hospital and started calculating how long it would take her to pay back the money the Mitchell Foundation had spent on her mother's care. When she told Gloria what had happened, her mother's reaction surprised her. That young man has been paying my medical bills? For months, Mom. Behind my back. Gloria was quiet for a long moment, stirring her tea thoughtfully. And how is my health? What do you mean? I mean, how am I doing? Physically. Compared to a year ago. Jasmine had to admit that her mother was doing remarkably well. The pain that had made simple tasks difficult was manageable now. The physical therapy had improved her mobility significantly. The specialist treatments had addressed issues that had been bothering her for years. You're doing much better, Jasmine admitted reluctantly. And how are you doing? Are you still working 3 jobs and staying up all night worrying about my doctor bills? Mom, that's not the point. Isn't it? Baby, I've been watching you work yourself to death trying to take care of me. I've been feeling guilty every time I needed to see a doctor because I knew it meant you'd have to pick up extra shifts. Taking care of you is my responsibility. And I appreciate that. But having someone else help us take care of me? That's not a bad thing, Jasmine. That's what people do when they love each other, they help. He lied to me, Mom. Yes, he did. And that was wrong. But why do you think he lied? Because he wanted to control my life. Gloria shook her head. That boy doesn't have a controlling bone in his body. I saw how he looked at you, how he listened when you talked. He lied because he was scared. Scared of what? Scared of losing you. Scared that if he offered to help directly, you'd be too proud to accept it and I'd suffer because of that pride. So you're taking his side? I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying that sometimes people make mistakes when they love someone and don't know how to show it properly. This is the second time he's done this, Mom. And you forgave him the first time because you saw that he was trying to learn. Has he learned anything since then? Jasmine thought about the Ryan she'd gotten to know over the past few months. The man who took the bus and ate at diners and interviewed elderly immigrants about their businesses. The man who had listened to her neighbors' stories with genuine respect and concern. Some things, she admitted. Then maybe he can learn from this too. But Jasmine wasn't ready to hear that. She was too hurt, too angry, too tired of being the understanding one in a relationship that seemed to require constant forgiveness. 2 weeks later, she was working late at the office when her colleague Maria knocked on her door. There's someone here to see you, Maria said with a knowing smile. If it's Ryan, I don't want to talk to him. It's not Ryan. It's a woman named Mrs. Chen. She says it's important. Confused, Jasmine went to the lobby to find the elderly woman from the farmer's market, clutching a newspaper and looking determined. Mrs. Chen? What are you doing here? I come to talk to you about Ryan, she said in her accented English. You read his article about me? No, I haven't been reading his articles lately. Mrs. Chen thrust the newspaper at her. You read. Now. The article was on the front page of the community section. It was about Mrs. Chen's alterations business, But it was also about so much more than that. Ryan had written about her journey from Vietnam, about starting over in a new country with nothing but determination and skill. He'd captured her dignity, her pride in her work, her love for the community that had become her home. But what struck Jasmine most was the final paragraph, which announced that Mrs. Chin had received a small business loan through a new program designed to help immigrant entrepreneurs expand their operations. This loan, Jasmine said, looking up from the paper. Let me guess, it came from the Mitchell Foundation? Yes. But not because I asked for help. Because you're Ryan, he see that I deserve chance to grow my business. Mrs. Chin, I don't understand why you're telling me this. The elderly woman sat down heavily in one of the lobby chairs. Because I know you are angry with him. Because I know you think he helped people because he feel guilty or because he want to control. Don't I have a right to be angry? He lied to me. Yes, you have right to be angry. But you also have right to know truth about this man. Mrs. Chin leaned forward, her weathered hands folded in her lap. You know how many people Ryan helped through his foundation? Not just your mother, not just me. Families who lose homes in fire. Children who need surgery but parents cannot pay. Old people who need medicine but have no money. I know he helps people. That's not the issue. Is not? Then what is issue? Jasmine struggled to find the words. The issue is that he makes decisions about my life without asking me. He lies to me while pretending to be honest. And you think he do this because he want to hurt you? I think he does it because he doesn't trust me to make my own choices. Mrs. Chin shook her head. Child, I am old woman. I have seen many kinds of love in my life. Some love is selfish, it want to possess, to control. But some love is scared, it want to protect, even when protection is not needed. What are you saying? I'm saying that Ryan love you with scared love. He see you struggle and it hurt him. He want to help, but he know you too proud to accept help. So he find ways to help that do not hurt your pride. But he lied to me. Yes. Because he more afraid of losing you than he is of being honest with you. This is not good choice, but it is choice made from love, not from wanting to control. Jasmine felt tears prick her eyes. Mrs. Chen, you don't understand. This is the second time he's done something like this. And the first time what happened? He arranged for me to get a promotion at work without telling me. And did you deserve this promotion? Yes, I think so. And second time, with your mother's medicine, did she need this help? Yes, but then maybe the problem is not that Ryan make bad choices. Maybe problem is that Ryan make good choices in bad way. Mrs. Chin stood up slowly, her joints creaking. You know what I think? I think you are not angry because Ryan helped your mother. You are angry because you love him and you are scared. Scared of what? Scared that if you forgive him again, he will hurt you again. Scared that loving someone means losing yourself. Scared that being happy is too dangerous. The words hit Jasmine like a physical blow because they rang so true. She had been scared, terrified, actually, of letting Ryan back into her heart fully, only to have him betray her trust again. What if you're right? Jasmine whispered. What if I forgive him and he does it again? Then you will be angry again and you will make new choice. But what if you don't forgive him? What if you let fear make you throw away chance for real love? Mrs. Chin patted Jasmine's hand gently. In my country we have saying, the heart that closes to protect itself also closes to receive love. You think about this, okay? After Mrs. Chin left, Jasmine sat in the lobby for a long time, reading Ryan's article over and over. The writing was beautiful, respectful, full of genuine admiration for Mrs. Chen's strength and resilience. This wasn't the work of someone who saw people as charity cases to be managed. This was the work of someone who saw the dignity and worth in every person's story. That weekend, instead of staying home and brooding, Jasmine found herself walking to the farmer's market. She told herself she was just buying groceries, but she knew she was really hoping to see Ryan there. She found him at the community garden booth, interviewing a young mother about the impact the garden had on her family's nutrition and budget. He looked tired, Jasmine noticed. There were circles under his eyes and he seemed to have lost weight. When the interview finished, Ryan packed up his notebook and turned to leave. That's when he saw her. Jasmine. His voice was careful, cautious. Hi. They stood there awkwardly for a moment, neither sure what to say. How are you? Ryan asked finally. I'm okay. How are you? He paused, considering his answer. I'm sorry, Phil. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I wanted you to know that I think about what I did wrong every day. Mrs. Chin came to see me. She did? I'm sorry, I didn't ask her to. I know. She came on her own. She wanted me to read your article about her. Oh. Ryan looked uncertain. What did you think? I thought it was beautiful. I thought you really saw her, really understood what her business means to her. She's a remarkable woman. She deserves to have her story told. They started walking slowly through the market, not really shopping, just moving together out of old habit. Ryan, can I ask you something? Anything. The foundation, how many people has it helped? This year? About 200 families. Everything from medical bills to emergency housing to small business loans. And it's real? It's not just something you created to help my mother? It's real. I started it 3 years ago after my father died. I wanted to do something meaningful with the money I inherited, something that would make a real difference in people's lives. But you expanded it to include my mother. I expanded the medical assistance program, yes. But Jasmine, your mother qualified for help based on her actual financial and medical situation. I didn't make up criteria just to include her. You just made sure the criteria would include her. Yes, he admitted. I did. They stopped at a bench near the fountain, the same one where they'd sat months ago when everything was new and hopeful between them. I've been thinking about what Mrs. Chen said, Jasmine told him. About scared love versus selfish love. What do you think? I think maybe we're both scared. You're scared of watching me struggle when you have the power to help. I'm scared of losing myself if I let someone take care of me. Those are both reasonable fears. But they're also both based on not trusting each other. You don't trust me to accept help gracefully, and I don't trust you to help without taking over. Ryan considered this. So what do we do about it? I don't know. I'm tired of being angry, Ryan. I'm tired of feeling like we're always one mistake away from falling apart. Me too. But I'm also tired of feeling like I can't trust you to be honest with me. I know. And I don't know how to fix that except to promise to do better and hope you'll give me the chance to prove it. You've made that promise before. I have. And I broke it. I can't change that, but I can tell you that losing you this time has been the worst thing I've ever experienced. Worse than when my father died, worse than any business failure, worse than anything. Jasmine looked at his face and saw genuine pain there. This wasn't manipulation or performance, this was real heartbreak. Why? She asked quietly. Why what? Why is losing me so terrible? We've only been together a few months. You could find someone else, someone who's not so complicated. I could find someone else, Ryan agreed. But I couldn't find another you. I couldn't find another person who challenges me to be better, who sees through all my excuses, who makes me want to be worthy of love instead of just expecting it. Ryan. I love you, Jasmine. Not because you need saving, not because I want to fix you, but because you're the strongest, most genuine person I've ever met. You make me want to be authentic instead of impressive. You make me want to earn your respect instead of buying it. I love you too, she whispered, the words coming out before she could stop them. That's why this hurts so much. Then let's try again. Let's try to love each other better this time. How? By being honest even when it's scary. By trusting each other even when it's hard. By remembering that we're on the same team, not opponents trying to win. Jasmine felt something loosening in her chest, like a knot that had been tied too tight for too long finally starting to unravel. If we do this, she said carefully, there have to be rules. Name them. No more secrets. No more making decisions about my life without talking to me first. No more trying to solve my problems for me. Agreed. And if you want to help me or my family, you ask first. You explain what you're thinking and why, and you accept it if I say no. Absolutely. And I promise to actually listen when you want to help instead of automatically rejecting everything as charity. That would be nice. And we both promise to trust each other enough to be honest about our fears and insecurities instead of acting on them in secret. Deal. They shook hands formally, then both started laughing at the absurdity of it. Are we really going to try this again? Jasmine asked. Only if you want to. I do want to. I'm scared, but I want to. Good. Because I have something to tell you, and I'm practicing being honest even when it's scary. What is it? I've been working on something. A story about us, about our relationship, about the mistakes I made, about what I learned. I want to submit it as a personal essay to the city newspaper. You want to write about our relationship? For publication. I want to write about how love isn't about fixing people or saving them. I want to write about how real love means respecting someone enough to let them make their own choices, even if you disagree with those choices. And you're telling me before you submit it. I'm asking for your permission before I even finish writing it. Jasmine felt a smile tugging at her lips. This is what learning looks like, isn't it? I hope so. What do you think? Can I write about us? Can I read it first? Absolutely. Then yes. I think our story might help other people figure out how to love each other better. As they walked home together, taking the bus like two regular people instead of a billionaire and a cleaning lady, Jasmine felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Genuine hope. Not the desperate hope of wanting something impossible, but the steady hope of two people willing to work for something real. Ryan, she said as they approached her stop. Yeah. I forgive you. For all of it. I forgive you and I choose to trust you again. Thank you, he said softly. I won't waste this chance. I know you won't. And Ryan. Yeah. I love you too. The real you, not the perfect version you think you need to be. Good, he said taking her hand. Because the real me is the only version I want to be anymore. As they stepped off the bus together, Jasmine realized that this was what happy endings really looked like, not perfect people finding perfect love, but imperfect people choosing to love each other imperfectly but honestly. And for the first time in her life that felt like more than enough. Felt like everything. 6 months later, Ryan's essay about their relationship was published in the Sunday edition of the city newspaper. The headline read, "How I Almost Lost the Love of My Life by Trying to Save Her." It became one of the most read articles in the paper's history, with hundreds of readers writing in to share their own stories of learning how to love better. Mrs. Chin sent them both a copy of the article with a note that said simply, "Now you both understand love is not about being perfect. Love is about choosing each other every day even when it is difficult." And that's exactly what they did. They chose each other, every day, imperfectly but honestly, building something real and lasting from the foundation of trust they'd learned to create together. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was something better, it was real.